that Captain Browning's son is still a fighter.
He's also now retired. Yes,
He's
sir.
also retired.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, lead us in the pledge. Item 3, approval of the minutes for the May 13, 2024 City Council meeting. Second. And all in favor? Aye. Those that oppose, ayes have it. Also, the May 21st, 2024 meeting. So all those in favor? Aye. Any that oppose? We also have item 4, which is the approval of the agenda for May 28th, 2024 City Council meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Any that opposed? Ayes have it. We have a few public comment. Item 5, during our public comment, just letting the people that will be speaking know we have a 2-minute that you will speak after you give your name, your address. 2 minutes will start there. Then we have a hard stop after that 2 minutes. So we have Ms. Jaleesa Jordan.
Good evening, Mayor Rice and City Council members. My name is Jaleesa Jordan. My work address is 501 Howard Street. I am the program manager of Live Healthy Spartanburg, also one of the 3 co-chairs for the annual Community Health Awareness Day, reverently known as CHAD here in our community, and proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I am standing before you all today just thankful for your sponsorship and partnership in helping us host this event. Many of you have been invited to come out to CHAD this year, which will be this upcoming Saturday, June 1st, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Carver Middle School, located at 467 South Church Street, right here in Spartanburg. So we are starting promptly at 7:45 a.m. with some warm-up exercises. For those whose mobility isn't as great, we have some stationary exercises that we'll be doing, but we just want to invite all residents that are also listening virtually out to this event, as we'll have health screenings, we'll have activities and programming for our kids as well. There'll be senior activities, so things to do for all ages. And this event really focuses on the mind, the body, and spirit, and focusing on the whole person when it comes to our health. School is out, so parents have this extra time now. Some of them, I don't, but it's just a reminder to focus in on yourself. Check in with yourself and your health. So I know many of you know about it. I invite you to share the flyers that are in front of you. Invite someone out with you to the walk. We have food provided by Denny's, breakfast, starting at 8 a.m. until 11:30. And then we'll have a healthy, nutritious lunch sponsored by Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System and from Lean Kitchen. So there will be giveaways and so much more at this event. Again, it's this Saturday, June 1st, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Carver Middle School, and I hope to see you all there, so thank you.
Timed it perfect. Just so you know, 7:45 is the warm-up. Councilwoman Luderjohn would have already put in 3 miles by that time. Miss Arnetta Aiken-Brown. Arnett, I'm sorry, Arnetta.
Arnett Aiken-Brown.
Thank
Hi. President of the Robert Smalls Resident Council. I am at 561 Walford Street, apartment 20K, Spartanburg, South Carolina, 29301. Okay, our issues are an update of what's going on at Robert Smalls apartment community. So far, there are some improvements with air being repaired, but the biggest issue are that the residents are being charged with ledger fees back from January of 2023 to May of 2023, being asked to bring in extra funds to cover these. Before we moved there, everyone's ledger was clear and up to date. We could not move to that property until it was. That's one issue. Another issue, we having power issues with Building 13. Duke Power was called out, a lot of outages, and The maintenance man, he did say, the technician did say that the wiring was bad. That whole building is bad. Power going in and out. What I need to know is what we're going to do about management that are harassing and giving false evictions, false violations against these tenants. And there seems to be something against our seniors. We were told to give written requests for AC repair and units. Some tenants are being turned down, and now we weren't told, but we learned from the United Way that there was an email address that the tenants are now supposed to use to get repair or get a unit. Our elderly tenants do not have email, nor do they know how to use it,
Okay.
or anything. If I have 2 more minutes, or
No,
think I'm
you're
done.
still rolling.
I'm still rolling. Basically, would like to know what the council or what the city would like to do about this. Management is not communicating and not cooperating with the residents' council. They're, I will say, mean. I'm going to say mean.
Okay.
They're not transparent
Okay.
at all.
And Ms. Aiken-Brown, you were looking at us for a response. I see Councilwoman Sally is writing down everything you're saying. She's the council person that represent along with staff, and someone will contact you about some of these issues. But we just won't give a
Okay.
response on tonight.
Okay, we had a meeting that council and city didn't show up for, and that pretty much through this,
Okay.
that's why this is happening now.
Okay.
So please show up.
Miss Annie Snoddy.
Good afternoon.
Push the
My
mic
name
down.
is Anna
Ms. Brown, push the mic down.
Anna Snoddy.
Thank you.
I'm having a problem with the, well, I guess you can call it the manager over there. She been harassing me ever since I've been there. She been giving me she gave me a violation saying I had a party in my unit when I was in the hospital for 6 days, and saying that she got one of the residents saying that gave her a call, said I had a party going on. She gave me a violation for that. Then she gave me about 3 eviction notices, handwritten, and had her name on it. She just, and then my floors ain't been fixed. They about to cave in on me. They are real, real weak. And I'm wrist to fall, and I'm disabled. I'm got to have surgery again on my arm. And I just got out of the hospital. And I need to know what can I do about this. About her harassing me and all this.
Okay. All right. Ms. Snoddy, and that is 20E. your
20E,
apartment.
yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Regina Clifton.
Hi, my name is Regina Clifton. I'm the Vice President of the Robert Smalls Council. And what she was saying, we was having trouble, the same thing with the air. And some of my neighbors in my building, Building 1, didn't have no air for 2 years. One of my neighbors had just had a baby, and she keep asking me for help. And I keep trying to talk to Dolores, but Dolores, the landlord is just very disrespectful. So I'm just trying to see what we can do, because it's babies in my unit with little kids. I have a 16-year-old, but it's more babies and little kids in there with no air.
That unit is
1D, apartment 1D.
apartment
Yes, sir.
1D.
And I don't have no air either. And my son, he's keep asking me to go talk to the landlord, and whenever time I talk to her, it's just the same old thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
No error, Miss Annie as well.
And Ms. Annis, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Elizabeth Fenner.
Hello. I'm Elizabeth Fenner. My work address is 155 North Spring Street. I'm here to speak on behalf of preserving the downtown community garden and neighboring business Blue Moon and the life and spirit that sparked the revitalization of downtown. I grew up in a Spartanburg disconnected from the sense of community life the generation before me spoke about, but returned to one that felt like a village of kind people that helped each other out. I'd just come from an apprenticeship gardening that awakened me to endless creative possibilities and how powerful village life could be. After failed attempts at gardening here, looking for a place of solace, I saw the downtown garden and within minutes had forged a connection with the business owner next door over shared values of growing from seed and community mindedness to share these values with the community. I later found the vision set forth by the Spartanburg County Foundation that I was currently living, even as I sort of found the vision stated. We hope to provide a place that people from all walks of life, from the educational world to folks who live downtown, to families who don't have access to healthy food, can enjoy and use. The community garden will allow Spartanburg's downtown area to continue to flourish and maintain its focus on healthy lifestyles and community mindedness. So I ended up living out these experiences set forth in these visions and can attest to the powerful healing that community brings over these shared values in a way that institutions just can't, from places and spaces that protect these values of health and just reaching into each other's lives. Many people wander through the garden, and there's a sense of a bigger purpose that one day it would be perhaps a place where more people could have these experiences. Visions of fruit trees and lights and spaces where people could come together, volunteer days. Isaiah speaks of, always. Okay.
We get it. Thank you, ma'am.
Message is to preserve the garden. Thank you.
Thank you. James A. Jones.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. James A. Jones, my office address is 582 West Main Street. Couple of things. Robert Smalls and the ARPA funds. I have an attorney. I'm an attorney. I have a law practice. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi, Siren, Mount Moriah Baptist Church, Southside Sankofa. We were here for the community before COVID, during COVID, and we still serve the community all the time. We would really ask that you look at the ARPA funds and those that have been requested to continue to support organizations like this that support our people. I'm also a child of Spartanburg Terrace, growing up in public housing. Like many of my friends and residents and Robert Smalls, we see what happens when you have inequities and an imbalance of power, essentially. But you, City Council, not just Councilwoman Sally, but the entire council, and the attorneys, and everybody here have a duty to make sure we get the balance right, that the people of Robert Smalls are treated fairly and equitably. I would call for a financial audit of each of those accounts. I would also ask that you perhaps appoint, direct, pay for something like a mediator, an ombudsman, that would serve as a go-between between council and the ownership and the residents there to try to maybe propose something that makes this thing make sense. You can't just keep kicking people out and kicking them around when they already maybe came in under without having the proper balance of information, power, infrastructure. We know how it came about. We can do better, and we can't just point the finger at one person. We all have a collective responsibilities, especially when you're using our tax dollars, our land, our public infrastructure to put this whole thing together. Now we have a duty to make it right. I say we do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And this is directed to Robert Smalls, residents. We know we have an issue, and we are working on it. We are truly working on this. And this is something that doesn't go by a day without us inquiring to staff, to ownership about rectifying this. And that's from everyone on this council. Everyone that sits in front of you are concerned with what goes on in Robert Smalls. I want you to hear that loud and clear. We are. I know that may not help the issue right now, but we are working to rectify what's going on in Robert Smalls, and we will continue until it is rectified. So thank you all for coming out, and keep coming and keep us in front of it. Thank you. Item 6, Power Up. Power Up Spartanburg County Small Business, Minority Business Development Initiative and Redegree presentation. Presenter, Mr. Alan Smith, President and CEO of One Spartanburg, Inc.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Timing of the night is pretty interesting as well, because June 16th, 2024 for me is 10 years. And as I reflect back over the past decade, you know, one of the things that I'm proudest of is the fact that we've built strong partnership with the city of Spartanburg. I think that's critically important. We have a great partnership with public entities all across the county, but really the tightness of our bond is so important. So I didn't come here to talk about that tonight. I came here to talk about Power Up and Redegree, just two new initiatives, relatively new initiatives of One Spartanburg, Inc., and just wanted to give council an update on both. So, Power Up, little historical context. So when we were building Vision Plan 2.0, which was our 5-year strategic plan from 2022 to 2026, we came across some disturbing data. We've been among the best in the nation at recruiting investment from big businesses, but we noticed that small business startups and small business growth actually had contracted a little bit over a certain time period. So we knew that we wanted to do something about it. And so we started talking to county council, and they agreed that they wanted to send some American Rescue Plan dollars to us and really work in tandem with us to grow small and minority businesses across Spartanburg County. And so that was really the genesis of Power Up Spartanburg. And this initiative was launched in March of 2023 with these two overarching goals. I am so proud of the fact of, first of all, I'm very proud of our director, Jay Jenkins, and our team and what we've been able to accomplish really in just over 12 months. Everything we do, as you know, at One Spartanburg, Inc. is metric driven. And you can see metrics that have been delivered just in the first 13 months. We're 767 intakes. You can see access to capital, the loans and grants that have been distributed, revenue growth. This is all within just the city of Spartanburg. So this is not including all the businesses in Spartanburg County, but 767 intake forms completed by businesses that are currently in the city of Spartanburg or would want to be in the city of Spartanburg. You see access to capital, revenue growth. So this is self-reporting. You know, the only data we can get in terms of revenue and new job creation is what people are willing to report to us. So $1 billion of revenue growth through a 6-month period has been reported to us. You see the breakdown in race, 73% black, white, 21%, gender, male, female, 3 contracts secured. So this is 8 initiatives. This is not just a loan and grant pool, because we don't believe that it's good practice to hand people a check and say, here's some money, now go on your way. This is a continuum of care, as we like to say. We like to be with these small minority businesses from the very beginning as long as they need us. So one of the things that we're doing is we are helping small businesses gain access to big businesses and compete for contracts. And the folks that we're working with in the city of Spartanburg have received 3 contracts from big businesses. This is life-changing. This is generational changing. When you're a small business with $100,000 in gross revenue and get a $500,000 contract. So we have one single person, used to be an employee at BMW, that helps small businesses get ready to do business with BMW. She now works for us as a 1099 person. And so we look forward to what she brings to our contract initiative. Payroll growth, so 42 new employees, again, just city of Spartanburg, small businesses. And then 1099, 53 new contractors have been hired on because of Power Up Spartanburg and the growth there. Countywide, 1,426 small businesses have been engaged. So For us, at the very beginning, we wanted to make sure that this was scaled. This is not going to be something to where 20 or 25 businesses would participate. We had to scale this in order if we wanted to see payroll growth across the county go up, small business employment growth go up across the county. We had to scale it, and we are well on our way. Countywide, just again, self-reporting over the first 6 months, small businesses have seen $5 million in revenue growth, 167 new employees hired through Power Up Small Businesses, and then total countywide $2.4 million through loans and grants. This is a bright spot as well. So in December of 2023, 4 of us went to MIT up in Boston, Massachusetts, to really learn about their trademark business mentoring program. If you ever get the chance to go to Boston in December, don't go. I'm just not built for that kind of cold. But we learned a lot, and they told us, they said basically, if you take what you've learned and in a year, if you have a pilot program with 12 mentors, it will be off to a great start. Well, I'm happy to report that Spartanburg showed up like it normally does, and people have been very engaged in this, and we now have a blurred screen. But just trust me, 54 mentors now have been engaged in 1 year. And so what does that mean? So 54 mentors are working with mentees. So as a small business, you literally have the opportunity. It's team mentoring, so it's not one-on-one. It's a minimum of 2 mentors for 1 mentee, but most have 3 to 1. So you can be paired with a retired CEO, a current CFO, or you can be paired with someone that owns a marketing firm, and they are giving you free advice about how you can grow your business. And so that is off to the races, and that is scaled up as well. But at the end of the day, it's about individual people and the success stories that they've been able to have through Power Up Spartanburg. And you can just see a couple of those. Again, this initiative is only a year old. The grid is a direct response to some of the feedback we got early on. Small businesses across Spartanburg County said, look, we know that there's resources out there. We just don't know how to get them. We don't know where they are. So the initial idea was we would just have a static page where all the resources were in one spot. But our team wanted to go a step further. So we partnered with Duke Energy, get it, Power Up in the grid, Duke Energy. And they've provided us resources to literally create an online community. So think of LinkedIn for Spartanburg County small and minority businesses. So you will have a place where you can go and see where all the resources are. But you'll also be able to join a community. So for example, if I was a small business and I needed landscaping services, I could go to On the Grid and I could find folks that are registered through Power Up in the Grid, and I could reach out to somebody that owns a landscaping business. So it's a community. All the content that we're producing in webinars and expert series and all that will live on the grid. So anybody, anytime, anywhere can log on to the grid and get the resources they need and become part of this online networking community. And this is just a sample of what it looks like. This is just launched as of 2 weeks ago, and we're beginning to see a lot of people build their own profiles. Even can go in and City of Spartanburg business license process, make it easy for people to navigate that, and our other municipalities as well. Our team that is supporting small and minority businesses in Spartanburg County now is the same size as the economic development team at One Spartanburg Inc. So that's how serious we are, how committed we are to growing small and minority businesses here in Spartanburg County. Here are some of our partners. We are definitely not doing this in a vacuum. So with that, I'm going to pause and take any questions you have related to Power Up Spartanburg.
Any questions of Mr. Smith with Power Up?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Alan, what's the definition of a small business? Is it number of employees? Is it total annual growth? How do y'all define that?
So the SBA defines it as 500 FTEs, full-time equivalents or less. We're defining it as 50 full-time equivalents or less. And we have people that have had an idea on a Saturday night all the way to people that already have $700,000 of gross revenue and been in business 4 years. So it runs the gamut.
Councilwoman Sally.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Smith, I've run into several small businesses who are already in operations, and when they apply for Power Up to assist them, it's the paperwork that gets them stuck. Is the mentors or mentors helping them with that?
So we have, let me go back here. We have built our capacity as a direct response to that. I think, you know, if I look back and I say one thing we could have done better is, I don't think any of us thought in 1 year we would be dealing with a volume of 1,400 intake forms. So out of response to that, we've hired Destiny Dominguez. So yes, she can, you have any of those people, contact her directly. She can help with the intake form. The intake form is fairly straightforward. It's just one-page Google document. Now, the loans and the grants are not administered by us. They're administered by community development financial institutions. Those are a little bit more complicated, as you imagine, but we can help people with those as well. We're also hiring another business resource coordinator to kind of help with that case management as people make their way through the process.
Any other questions about Power Up? Mr. Smith, I just want to say an outstanding job you guys are doing at One Spartanburg with Power Up. Whenever, you know, and I'm sure we all get questions about starting new business, how can we do it? And I would always refer them to Jay. Jay gets back in touch with me, lets me, and the person also lets me know that he's helped them throughout the process. We had a grand opening this past Saturday, actually outside of the city limits, but it was an event center. Young lady was went to elementary school at Mary H. Wright Elementary School when I first came into the school district, and she was opening up her event center, and Jay, of course, and Power Up helped her get to that point. So, and I've seen that countless times. So, great job to the team up there, and I'm glad you're not pitching on that team. No.
That's why it's been successful, Mr. Mayor. But I will tell you, we're not perfect, but this has never been done before.
Yeah.
And so we've done a lot of learning as we have grown, but we're very proud of where we are as we are today. Again, tremendous volume, and we wanted to scale, and we're going to continue to scale. So with that, I'm going to go right into Reed Degree, and your colleague Megan on council has done a lot of work in this space, so she could probably come on this side of the podium and give this presentation herself, but give you some context around Reed Degree. So in 2017, as part of our vision plan, one of the recommendations was we've got to diversify our economic development approach. We as a shop were heavily focused on manufacturing. And again, that'll be our bread and butter. Advanced manufacturing is a space in which we will always win. But our strategy said you got to diversify your approach. You need to be thinking more about corporate development, white collar, regional back offices, life science, you know, health type jobs, higher paying jobs. Well, what do those jobs require? Most of those jobs require a 4-year degree, and at that point in time, we had a 26% 4-year degree attainment. 4-year degree attainment is a challenge in South Carolina in general, but in Spartanburg County, we were actually less than the state average. So that we knew to cultivate an environment to recruit those kinds of jobs, we needed to raise degree attainment. And so, and that's just a host of other things that we needed to do. More direct flights in and out of GSP, more executive housing, so on and so forth. And so we started having conversations about raising degree attainment with Spartanburg Academic Movement, and Megan and Dr. Booker, and so much work being done in pre-K, 3rd grade, 8th grade, even in high school. But then we began to realize through some data that we obtained through SAM, there's actually 48,000 people in Spartanburg County that have some college and no degree. Well, what does that mean? They started a college pursuit. They started a degree pursuit, whether it be associate's degree, 4-year degree, and life happened. You know, mother got sick and they had to take care of their mother, or they had a child and they had to stop out for whatever reason. Could have been financial in nature. But we started thinking about those 50,000 people and begun to think, if we can engage them and they're 18, 21, hours away from getting that degree, that's a much quicker turnaround than a pre-K person. You know, pre-K is important, but you're looking at 16, 17 years to really start developing skill and four-year degree attainment. So we came up with an initiative called Unfinished Business. I thought it was a great name. It was my idea. Thought it was a great name. We went to the legislature. We asked for $1.98 million. As you all know, over a 3-year period, we got just about everything we asked for except unfinished business. And so we had this great idea, but we just didn't have resources. And then enter Spartanburg Academic Movement, Blue Meridian, and the resources generated by that initiative. And then all of a sudden, we had $7 million to bring unfinished business out of the ground and begin to get our arms around the 48,000 people that really wanted to finish something. And so having said that, the first thing we did is looked at the brand, and a marketing group came in and told us unfinished business was the worst name they probably ever heard of. And so they came up with Redegree. Unfinished business is a look back. You're reminding people of something that they didn't finish. Redegree is regarding your degree. Redegree, it's a look forward. And so with that in mind, we hired Dr. Ron Garner, recently retired superintendent of District 1 schools. Obviously, he knows so much in this space. And just last month, Redegree was officially launched. And so basically, we have resources to help people with tuition. We have resources to help people with life. So if you have an issue with your car and that is preventing you from getting to class, we have a process to help you with that. We have navigators to help people through the process. We've learned in just a short amount of time that right now the number one barrier is confidence. You know, you think about it, if you stopped out 20 years ago, college has changed a lot. You know, how you apply for classes, admissions, what is a FAFSA, you know, helping people navigate that. Blue Meridian Dollars has also allowed us to put navigators at our higher ed institutions across the county. So when a redegree student comes into Converse, they get white glove concierge treatment because, again, confidence is lacking. They're a little unsure of themselves. So this is the role of the college navigator, helping those people, again, finish what they've started. I have some data for you tonight. In 1 month, we are now working with 184 students. The goal is 5,000 over 7 years. And when you look at 5,000 degrees obtained, when you look at the fact that degree attainment is going to go up naturally because our population growth, that's scale. Those are hard numbers that are really get us to where we need to be or start to get us where we need to be to get the attention of some of these site selectors that look at degree attainment. Not only that, it's just a good thing to do. Families benefit when parents are more educated. A child that sees a parent with a college degree is more likely to go to college. So I believe at the end of the day, it's a cultural improvement thing that we're working on as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions regarding Redegree.
Any questions of Redegree?
Can I make a statement?
Sure,
Mr. Mayor?
sure.
Alan, I've told your team I have felt like the proud cousin watching this initiative launch and the individual stories that are coming out of who Casey's working with. Everything from just needing a laptop to get started to paying a hold on a transcript, these small barriers that have been preventing folks from re-engaging with what they originally wanted to do with life is really exciting. And so just bravo to you, to Aaron, to Casey, and I know you're hiring another navigator. So the work has just begun. Bravo.
That's right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And to that 184 students, Alan, that's a great job that we can re-engage these future graduates with a degree in some sort of some form of fashion. But outstanding job what you guys are doing there at One Spartanburg, going above and beyond. And it's all about Spartanburg in the end. So we do appreciate that.
That's right.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor.
We're at item 7, update. Chris can do it. On the use of American Rescue Plan Act funding for affordable housing strategies. Mr. Chris Story will be our presenter.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the agenda says Martin. Martin could not be with us this evening, so I'm going to do my best to fill in, and Mitch will help me if you ask me tougher questions than I'm prepared for, and Martin, of course, will be with us for future updates on these items. What we are requesting tonight is your endorsement of a partner of our ability to enter into a partnership with LISC. LISC is a CDFI, Community Development Finance Institution, one of the largest in the country, and one of the most well-respected, that would bring their staff team and some of their own resources alongside the ARPA dollars that we've allocated to pursue the development of affordable homeownership and rental housing supply. So their role would be to meet with us and local developers that are seeking to bring online new affordable units, whether for home ownership or rental, and to help us use the programmed ARPA dollars to structure grants and loans to make those projects viable and accelerate their deployment so we can have more units faster. They've asked us to seek your endorsement so we can move to a formal agreement stage. The benefits to us include their technical expertise, but most significantly includes the fact that they bring their own resources on a goal of a dollar for dollar match. So it takes our resources and doubles them, magnifies them through this process. So we think that's a significant benefit to the community. Their national team is familiar with countless and involved in countless affordable projects across the country at any given time, and that network also exposes them to tools, strategies, and expertise that may help us move forward faster. What we'd like for you to do tonight is sort of go on record in endorsing the pursuit of that, and then we would have a formal document to be shared at a subsequent point. Any points I'm failing to mention, Mitch?
I just wanted to note, this project was somewhat delayed. Martin brought it before you all back in December. To Chris's point, the opportunity to leverage these dollars, but also to do it differently. Martin's team has put out RFPs previously for development in the city to get very little response. Christopher George has been involved in this process, so how we roll this out is going to be much different than what you've seen before from a development. One, we never had this amount of funding in the last 20 years to put in affordable housing. So we believe it's important to be intentional about how we market this and how we engage it. Upon notification of available funds, we will have a community engagement opportunity to engage developers in this process and make sure that they understand all the different nuances of how we're going to do it. And so I just wanted to add that this is much different than how we've done it before.
We'll also continue to work with other partners, including Community Works, who administers the current Spartanburg Housing Fund and is our partner on several projects, and explore other opportunities to work with partners with aligned interest in moving forward faster on affordable housing.
Any questions of Mr. Story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we talking about a dollar amount yet of how much ARPA money we're planning to bring to this initiative? Did you mention that?
In the currently authorized budget approved last spring, 2.5 million of ARPA dollars have been allocated to boosting the supply of affordable units. That is inclusive of home ownership and rental. And so that's the dollars we're talking about deploying here. And then, of course, there's more to be considered over subsequent meetings. It could be that this proves great success and you want to consider more into it, or it could be other strategies that you'd want to choose to deploy that. But this is for the previously allocated dollars.
Just note, owner-occupied rehab is a part of it. So those are the homeownership development, rental development, and owner-occupied rehab.
Councilman Flumer.
Well, I was thinking, I know it's different in scope, but I was thinking about it in the context of Robert Smalls, you know, in the sense that as we vet potential developers, what type of requirements and criteria do we have as it relates to the quality and the caliber of the homes that are being built by individual developers? Because I don't want to see us use any dollars that support a development that doesn't meet our standard that we've established as part of this program, so that once we know that the inventory that is fulfilled, you know, it is of high quality and built to last over time.
Yes, sir. And if anything, this particular endeavor taps us into a bigger, larger network, which we'd hope to have benefit of more eyes, more ability to get insight on potential partners and that kind of thing. So, bigger network.
Chris, you mentioned the bigger set of eyes, et cetera, but in here it says that they provide financing and technical and management assistance to local partners and developers. So, I mean, is it the same folks that we've been dealing with for, you know, these types of opportunities for new development, or are we looking, I think I've maybe had some conversations about some other potential projects, and that, you know, we need to be spreading our net a little bit wider and not necessarily, you know, honing in on those that are always a part of those particular projects. As long as they meet the criteria, as long as they have had, you know, successful projects, I mean, I'm willing to, you know, look up and down the southeast for inviting new folks into our community who might be able to, you know, produce a project that we successful.
Absolutely, and I think this is consistent with that goal in that LISC is doing similar work in much larger metro areas across the South and the Mid-Atlantic region, which would expose them to partners and others that may be as simple as say, hey, take a look at Spartanburg, and which might give us a broader, so it's parallel tracks from our perspective. One, it's bringing in top quality partners as best we can to identify, and also having technical assistance to work with our local folks who, with a little bit of support, may be able to take their efforts to the next level. So we want to do both. And I think having the additional technical expertise will help us do that.
Questions? Go ahead, Mr. Ryan.
So, can you just explain one more on what the list actually does? Is it that they will go, based on reading this and listening to you, they will go find developers to build these projects and then give them grants and or loans? Correct.
And we will help them cast a broad and wide net. You know, we will host local meetings and put information pieces together that they can send out to regional affordable housing developers and others. But they will underwrite, review pro forma, dig in on some of those aspects, and structure these dollars to get the most impact and put their dollars beside these dollars.
If we put in 2.5 into this fund,
Yes.
they would put in another 2.5, so we would have 5.
Yes.
And then who would have final say in which projects they choose to get grants to, or which projects they get loans to? And the $5 million is great. I was trying to get that's awesome. I was just trying to get the numbers.
Sure.
How does the program then get administered?
Well, of course, there'd be the parameter that it'd have to be in Spartanburg.
Right.
there's in the current drafts that we're sharing back and forth, they would work with Mitch, Martin, and myself on a team with their local staff. Their local office is directed by Dawn Deck, who many of you may know, and then part of their regional staff out of Charlotte and Richmond that would be part of that, and collectively we'd form a committee to do the finalize projects.
Folks, would developers that apply for grant dollars or loan dollars, and would there be some criteria that they would have to meet in terms of, I'm just trying to understand how the program is administered based on affordability or
Right. The objective, and we can certainly.
maybe too early for that, but.
Well, but it's important that we be fully transparent about this. This is intended to be gap financing, the financial tools that takes a potentially viable project to the finish line. That's our objective here. So there will be, we will evaluate potential possibilities on a per unit basis. Obviously, you need deeper subsidies per unit the lower you go in incomes, right? And we'd be targeting with these dollars 60% AMI and below, but also have the ability to do mixed income and workforce projects as well. So the degree of the depth of subsidy would be lower the higher the income threshold, of course. And our objective would be to maximize the number of units we could touch and bring to this community with the available dollars.
Then if we tell you, yes, what are you looking for tonight? Just for us to know you were interested?
Yes, sir. It was sort of a two-step process. If we didn't want to go to document execution, they would like to hear that y'all are willing to take a next step, and then we'll take a next step.
Is there going to be a further opportunity for council to weigh in on the criteria for grants versus loans, or for the criteria of how this is going to be administered?
Absolutely, we can.
We're eventually going to vote on some sort of agreement.
Yes, and what I'd like to do is cast a call out, have that outreach effort that Mitch was referencing, and then bring back to you results of that'll give us a better sense of what's viable, what's possible, and that kind of thing. And hopefully we'll have a set of very high quality projects to put in front of you.
What's the, they would provide the services, what's the fee?
Their fee would be spread over a couple budget years, but their fee would be $250,000, which would fund their staff time in it.
But they're also bringing $2.5 million.
Correct.
And Chris, does it also include single family, or are we looking mainly at supporting multifamily?
It includes and is open to single family.
Right.
The math is harder on single family.
Sure.
So I think we'll see more multifamily units result, but there's nothing we will actively cultivate some single family pieces to the puzzle.
If there were to be a grant over a certain threshold, $500,000 grant to a particular.
Right.
That then goes to the committee, or does that come back to council? How does?
We can refine that to suit the preference of council about how much information. I would think you would want that information. You'd want to see what was coming in the deal pipeline. But we can work with them and pull some models from some other communities about when formal action is required. But certainly information flow would be our goal.
One added note, their policy is structured where we're not allowed to say, here's $2.5 million. They won't accept that without a project. So funds will be allocated by project, which gives us the opportunity to come back before you as project. So we won't just say, here's 2.5. They won't even accept their policy.
So it's, just so I'm clear, their match is the 250 or the 2.5?
2.5. Yes.
Okay. And they will come to us per project?
That's correct. In bundles, I guess, is what we'd hope.
And I I just wanted to note, our capacity, I would say on record, I'm not just saying because it's a teammate, there's no smarter mind with housing development in the upstate than Martin Livingston, but it comes down to bandwidth. This gives us the bandwidth to deliver this amount of money at a rate and in a time that we wouldn't be able to do without this. I'm interested.
Yeah, I think we all are interested, for sure. And I definitely love the piece, and as we heard earlier about Robert Smalls, and I know Councilman Former mentioned, you know, the quality of work, the standard. Chris, you mentioned top quality partners and all. We're looking at multifamily and single-family projects with also a mixed income level that can be included. So I do feel encouraged by this, that we can have a little bit more oversight as well, and as Mitch mentioned, a little bit more bandwidth. As he mentioned, Martin, one of the brightest minds, I'm sure Martin is smiling, you know, it's hard for him to smile. So we still would need a motion, and, okay.
Yes, sir, just a motion and a vote.
Just so we all encourage, so I recommend, yeah. Do I hear?
I make
Motioning for that.
The approval.
I think it'd be a motion in effect to support the staff pursuing the LISC opportunities.
Motion that staff continue to pursue the LISC opportunities.
Do I hear a second? Good, all in favor?
Aye.
Hold before we,
Just so we're specific, can you, I mean, I don't know if that can be amended, but that, I feel like the dollar amount in there needs to be in, you know, for public documentation.
Okay.
Where it says, you know,
Sure.
they would provide the services, for a fee of $250,000.
Okay.
I think that's important to put.
Yeah, so we can make Councilwoman Brown's motion an amendment to Councilman Raines, and if someone wants a second, that we can have a voice vote on that.
There's
Second.
gonna be another agreement.
yeah, it's gonna be another one.
Yeah, I just want to make sure going forward that any dollar amounts that we just don't put fees, if we know what those fees are, they need to be listed for public knowledge.
Sure, good. So the motion was,
Proposed by Councilman Raines.
Seconded.
Amended by Councilman Brown, and then seconded by Councilman Fulmer.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Where are we? Boards and commissions, updates. Presenter, Ms. Christy Lindsay, City Clerk.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We have 11 boards that need reappointments. So I'm going to start with our Airport Advisory Committee. We have one vacancy. Dr. Dunn has reached out to me and requested to be reappointed to this board, and he is eligible to serve an additional term. I did have one applicant, Mr. McGalliard. There was 2 other applicants, but they do not live in the city. So I look for direction from you all.
So we got one vacancy.
We have one vacancy, and then Dr. Dunn has requested reappointment, and we have one application.
Now, Christy, in the past, what we have traditionally done is appoint a committee to do interviews at the mayor's discretion.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
To interview both if there's more either available for reappointment or that have applied for a position.
Yes, ma'am. So I'll look for direction from you all.
The reappointment is what comes to question. We wanted to give other citizens that were seeking to get more involved an opportunity as well when we had those conversations.
But I do think I understand that. But I think it's best to find the most qualified applicant for the position. That might be the new applicant,
Right,
but it might be the person seeking
So Christy, can we move to the next?
We can move to the next one, yes,
and
sir.
we'll
and then
hold that.
I'll look for direction from you as far as setting up interviews.
Yes.
Okay. The next one would be our Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee. We do have one vacancy. The applicant is Lindsay Draculic. She does work at the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium, and the individual that was rolling off this year did work at the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium as well, and they have recommended her, and so I'll look for council's direction.
Do I have a recommendation?
I make a motion that we recommend Lindsay Draculic.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That opposed? We'll let Ms. Lindsay know she has it.
Thank you. The next is our Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. We currently have 3 vacancies. We have one individual who is requesting reappointment. Her name is Victoria Gilbert. She is able to serve an additional term, and we have one applicant, Livingston Hawkins, both qualified to be appointed to the board.
Make a motion to appoint Victoria Gilbert, reappoint Victoria Gilbert and appoint Livingston Hawkins for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it.
So
question.
Christie,
Go.
that would leave one open vacancy.
Yeah.
Correct.
That one normally gets so many applications. I'm
I was
surprised.
actually shocked that we haven't had that many, and we even had Matchboard push it out throughout the state
Yeah, that's
that we had
surprising.
openings. So I'll talk with our communications director and see if we can't post the remaining vacancies on our website.
Bicycle and pedestrian, that was strictly city residents as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Or they have to have significant involvement
Business.
on a business in the city.
Okay.
And I imagine the committee may be a good source for referrals as well. The committee
Yes,
themselves.
yes, sir, and I've reached out to them. Ned Barrett was over it, there's a new individual with Powell who is over it, and all of these, I've reached out to them as well.
Okay.
The next one would be the Construction Board of Adjustments and Appeals. We currently have 6 vacancies. I did not receive any applications for this board, and there are 5 individuals who have advised me that they would like to continue to serve, and they are qualified and able to serve again. Nicholas Gilman, William Gray, Marshall Irby, Brian Lawson, and Andrew McCall.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we reappoint Nicholas Gilman, William Gray, Marshall Irby, Brian Lawson, and Andrew McCall.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it.
Thank you. The Design Review Board, there are 2 vacancies. We have a request for one reappointment, and that is Tori Wallace Babcock. And then we have a new applicant, Jean Crowther. Both are qualified and eligible to serve on the board.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we appoint applicant Jean Crowther and reappoint Tori Wallace Babcock.
Second.
All in favor? Any that oppose? Ayes have it.
Okay. The next is our Board of Architectural Design and Historic Review. We have 3 vacancies. I received no applications, and I have 3 individuals who are requesting reappointment. That is Gloria Boozer, Sylvie DuBois Frank, and Bill Michaels.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Gloria Boozer, Sylvia DuBois Frank, and Bill Michaels.
Second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Good.
Sorry. Is it clicked up there now?
No, it's
It's
correct.
there, it's there.
It's up on ours.
Sorry. No, you're fine. Okay, now we have the Housing Board of Adjustments and Appeals. There are currently 2 vacancies. No applications have been received, and Sevi Alvarez did indicate that he would like to serve again on the board, and he is eligible to serve again.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Sevi Alvarez.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it.
Okay, the Planning Commission, we have 3 vacancies, no new applications. Requests for reappointment are Warwick Spencer, Philip Stone, and Lakeisha Whitner. They're all eligible to serve again and are willing to.
Mr. Mayor, I make a, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Warren Spencer, Philip Stone, and Lakeisha Whitner.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it.
The Public Safety Committee, we have 6 vacancies. No new applications have been received, and the following folks have indicated that they would like to be reappointed, and they are eligible. Evelyn Blakely, Carolyn Harbison, Nelson Irie, Luther Nesbitt, and Jason Spencer.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Evelyn Blakely, Carolyn Harbison, Nelson Ivory, Luther Nesbitt, and Jason Spencer.
Second?
All in favor?
Three of those are my constituents.
Gotcha.
The next is our Stormwater Appeals Board. 3 vacancies, no new applications received. Warwick Dahl, Chance LeBron, and Brian Overcash have all indicated to me that they would like to serve again. All are eligible and qualified to serve.
Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Warwick Dahl, Chance LeBron, and Brian Overcash to the Stormwater Appeals Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any other opposed? Ayes have it.
Yep. Last one is our Zoning Board of Appeals. We have 3 vacancies. Request for 2 to be reappointed is Don Bramlett and Brian Murdoch. One thing I need to tell you on this one is we do have an applicant who would be filling a vacancy that will be up next year, and he could fill for 1 year, and then obviously be eligible to be reappointed to the board again. And then we have 3 or 4 more openings that will be coming up next year. So he would definitely have an opportunity to serve if you all choose to put him on this board.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we reappoint Don Bramlett and Brian Murdoch, and that we appoint John Moore.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
So
So
Christie,
there's
just,
a couple that needs to be filled,
right.
but we still have yet to
Correct. So
have any applicants.
yes, so
And-
I will look for direction from you all on the Airport Advisory Board. Those
Right.
other committees that still have vacancies will remain open on match board, so folks can go in and apply for those. But then I'll also reach out to Christopher, George, and Jess about putting those vacancies on our website so that, just to give people an extra chance if they haven't seen it or heard about match board, that they can go on and apply.
And that gives us an opportunity, as council, to reach out to potential nominees for some of these boards, well, so we can get on our jobs to try to find some folks.
So the only one we really have to decide on, like now, is, or at some point, is airport.
Yeah.
Is the candidate that applied, I mean, is that candidate qualified? I mean, meets all of our criteria and?
Yes, sir, the candidate is qualified. It looks apparently from his application that he did a mentor program with the director of the airport now. So he is aware of what goes on at our airport and the policies and procedures that happen out there. So he knows Terry, so he would have good communication with the staff person that's over that board.
And the incumbent, I mean, has been an active participant, attendance-wise, and?
He has, yes, sir. And Dr. Dunn was actually appointed to this board in August of 2021.
I believe he has an airplane out there and is a
Does.
pilot himself. I would recommend that we stick with precedent and interview the 2.
Okay.
I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
Mayor, would you like to appoint an interview committee?
Are you guys ready for the interview committee?
I'll volunteer since the
There you
airport's in
go.
my
I love to
district.
hear voluntary. Do I hear any other volunteers? Mr. Rain smiled a little bit. Will you? Yeah. Great, awesome.
We can do it on Zoom. Rob.
One more?
I need a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's gotta be 3. It don't have to be me.
Well, I did it before with Megan involved, so I'll.
You like the team. I love it.
All right,
So,
band back together.
Christy, your team is
I will get with them to find out times and set it up.
awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the volunteer team. Teamwork. Where are we? Public hearing. To provide the adoption of the city operating budget and its execution and effect for the fiscal period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, first reading. This will require a public hearing, so.
Mr. Mayor, with your permission, I'd give a very brief presentation before you'd open the public hearing. Just a quick overview of the initial recommendation that is proposed for first reading tonight of the FY25 operating budget. The document in its entirety is in the public council packet, and Danita and Dennis are here for any tough questions. Just to recap our timeline, we had an initial public discussion about budget at the April 22nd meeting. Council held a much more in-depth budget work session on May 14th. First reading and public hearing are scheduled for tonight. Of course, any amendments that you would like to make are in order tonight. In addition, there would be second and final reading tentatively scheduled for the June 10th meeting, and I left the number 4 off the slide, I'm sorry, on that date. And that would be another time to make any amendments that you would like. And in the unanticipated but possible event that you needed additional time, we could delay final reading to the June 24th meeting, which is the practical deadline for adopting the budget that would go into effect July 1st. So that's where we are, time process. Just a few key notes to emphasize. We are experiencing modest growth in our recurring revenues, approximately 5% across the organization. And that is tied to strong regional economic progress. Some of our revenues, as we've discussed in the past, move relatively slow, but a consistent growth over the last several years has been positive for the organization. The recommended budget includes no revenue rate changes. All of our household fees, your uniformly applied fees, tax rate, business license schedule, all of that is to remain unchanged as proposed. No major changes to service levels are proposed. Obviously, at any given time, a number of smaller operational changes, but we are not proposing any major new services or reduction in service levels, but continued efforts to get more efficient and effective and have tools and equipment to do our jobs more effectively. The single biggest expenditure priority remains retaining and attracting talented team members. If you delve into the dollars, you will see that the percentage of each general fund dollar spent on people is the highest it has been, at about over 66%. So 2/3 of every dollar that the city general fund touches goes to direct personnel costs, salaries, wages, and benefits. And then if you add to that the tools and equipment we utilize to stretch that most valuable resource of the time of the men and women that work with the city team further, the number goes even higher with our emphasis on equipment and technology and tools that allow folks to make the most of it. And in contrast to last year, where we had the largest capital program in quite some time, there are no new capital projects proposed in this budget year. Obviously, we have several that are in the works that have been previously approved and discussed, including baseball stadium and various streetscape projects and a number of other projects of varying nature. This action tonight doesn't initiate any additional new capital projects. Just to summarize here, and I'll step this way and I can read. You see the general fund would reach $53.5 million total. That's just the summary of the major categories. Particularly pleased to see that local businesses are doing well, as evidenced by business license tax, which is tied to local business revenue. Those are very positive. We continue, as previously discussed, to transfer in a sizable portion of the hospitality tax to cover costs associated with maintaining and supporting those related, hospitality tax-related activities in the community. Just to illustrate that this is just expenditures by category, to illustrate that we continue to focus on the core functions of the city, which are police, fire, public works, and the dollars show that. If you drill in, you can see that those are the areas that we have increased in expenditures over time. The budget includes continuation of the implementation of the compensation plan approved last year, which has annual step adjustments for a number of key career paths, police officers, firefighters, and the like. Those are fully budgeted, as is a 3% cost of living adjustment for all employees. The budget proposed is balanced, and so any amendments are in order that are balanced in nature. Certainly welcome any questions. Dennis and Dennis Locke, our finance director, Danita Smith, who is his right hand, have done a terrific job, as they always do, in working through significant departmental requests, which over time get worked through and narrowed down to what I think is a modest and responsible balanced budget that I'm pleased to recommend to you all. But collectively, we'll answer any questions that you may have.
Questions before we go to public hearing?
Chris, I love how I think I say this every year. I remember several years ago on one of the podcasts, you talked about how a budget is a values document, and how the majority or the largest percentage of what we spend is on our people. I'm very glad that we're able to provide that cost of living adjustment this year. You just mentioned how each department submits to Dennis and his team what their needs are on the personnel side of things. Two questions. I know getting ready for a budget is often like submitting your Christmas wish to your parents. Sometimes you get it, sometimes it's a wait till next year. So part one question is, as there are adjustments either on the financial side or with grants that we receive or readjustments in teams, internal teams, is there opportunity throughout the year for departments to make shifts on personnel or to re-request new people if that is available? So maybe I'll let you answer that one first.
Yes, we try to encourage actually a continuous discourse about aligning available resources to the needs, and try to have wide latitude for that adjustment to be made. Also, there are a couple of areas that probably the most significant is in police, where we are always hiring and have always been hiring. I can't say all, have always, forever, for at least the last 6 or 8 years. Every single day we've had active available slots for which we are hiring in police. Were we over the next year to get to the point of being fully staffed, my pledge to you is to bring that back before you at that time, because we want to keep the pedal down and on hiring in critical areas, and so we'll try hard to avoid ever having a situation where the authorized number of slots is the constraint. And so that might prompt a mid-year discussion. Were we to get 8 or 10 qualified applicants to make their way through the process and get within range of being fully staffed of that, then you would be hearing from us about opportunities to keep that rolling.
You answered most of my second question in referring to police and always hiring, and we sometimes get an update on how many, slots we're still trying to fill. How does that compare to the fire department right now? Is it a similar situation where we're always?
There are vacancies in fire. I don't know the exact number. Assistant Chief Stark may know the exact number.
Currently, we have 6 openings. We have 4 people working through the process. We have a test coming up in September.
Okay.
So that's an ongoing effort as well.
But as maybe new buildings come online and we realize there's a need for more, we can add more positions mid-year if it warrants.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I would encourage your attention to one of the schedules that's sort of in the back of the budget document that doesn't get a lot of attention. It's page 60 of 94 in the packet is where the position control schedule begins. And you can see that if you look at that document from any year and compare it from one year to the next, you will see some change. And that for example, you might have a year in which the police department believes, like with the flow of challenges coming their way, they might adjust from one particular area, whether it's investigations versus patrol. They might adjust from one or the other, just using those as an example. And we try to make sure they have the flexibility to do that, but try to have this document be accurate at the initiation of each budget year to show you where those full-time equivalent positions are dedicated.
Councilman Farmer.
Chris, it's always good to see the percentage allocation of our resources in the budget so that we can keep our eye focused on the ball regarding core essential functions of government. And that, at least optically to me, it looks right. If you look at the numbers, is there any kind of benchmark best practices that help to validate that we've got the tensions right on how we're spending our dollars?
Not that I think is particularly applicable for our individual circumstance because of just the wide variety of it varies across cities, the suite of services that are carried out at the municipal government level. Some local governments have utility functions that we don't have, directly do water or sewer, things of that nature, or have the same type of growth pressures or other things. So we try to compare ourselves against other communities when it comes to revenue rates we charge, right? We don't want to be significantly out of step of what we're and our compensation structures. Those are the two areas we most frequently compare ourselves to other communities. But I think it's so much is a function of your perceptions of community needs. For example, of quality of life oriented service like Parks and Recreation, where we do have a very strong Parks and Recreation program that is targeted, I think, more than our peers to youth. That's my perception. And I think that's a function of what we perceive, at least, to be the values that you all have, and also reflective of sort of the needs of the neighborhoods that we serve and our community and the other resources that are available in the community. And so, for example, if you compared our parks program to some other cities, we do less capital building of ball fields because we partner well with Spartanburg County, and they have done a good bit of expansion of that, and we do more programming oriented to youth development support. That doesn't mean we don't do athletics. We certainly do, but it's just to the unique challenges and circumstances and opportunities.
And then as we talk about the need for more people in certain areas, and we try to balance that with, you know, the market dynamics as it relates to rising compensation. I know we've seen the county take action as it relates to patrol officers and really across the board, I think. You know, how are we adjusting for that? And do the department heads have some flexibility within the position control numbers to take that money that's being earmarked to, you know, help augment the salaries so that we can retain the people that we have?
We have transparently adopted and applied a classification compensation system that we try to, you know, we just last year we implemented the new system that came into effect July 1 of last year, that you all were able to fund in that, and that reset internal equity differences, the matrix that determines how we compensate for experience and how we compensate for different complexity as an individual would move up the chain. And then we attempt to annually adjust the whole matrix to try to stay in line with market conditions. You know, there are other local governments doing more this year. There are, of course, other local governments doing less. There are also numbers that don't necessarily compare. For example, we move our police officers and firefighters a 1.3% step annually. That's baked into the numbers. Other organizations might not do that, right? They might do it in some years or not others. So when we made that transition, that was a big shift aimed at retaining police officers and firefighters. And that 1.3% that happens on each employment anniversary is in addition to and out of the, that's a separate process from the 3% cost of living adjustment that would move the whole scale, right? But the 1.3% moves them through the scale. And so we can compare apples to apples at any given time, but to look at, for example, how we might compare in terms of police officers to county sheriff's department, you'd have to really look at it at any given snapshot moment.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I mean, we went through some pain points to kind of right size the ship in that regard, and I just want to make sure we're staying on top of that now as we go, so that we don't find ourselves getting behind. And then the last question I'll ask, it took us 10, 15 years to get a new planning director. Do we have any other critical need positions that we're actively trying to fulfill right now? And what strategy, are we doing anything different strategically to support those efforts? I mean, is there anything we're glaringly missing that we need to go get, and how do, what can we do to help speed that process along? We are working on succession planning internal to the organization, and to make sure that we have the talent and experience necessary. So we don't have any senior level active hirings occurring at the moment, but we will be looking to make sure that as some anticipated future retirings occur, that the organization is not knocked off track in that process. We've also, Kevin's taking the lead on a good bit of continuity of operations discussions, which is ferreting out who does what if someone's out on medical leave and things of that nature. So those
those are helpful related tasks, but there isn't a single next senior level hire that I'm prepared to discuss tonight.
Any other, Councilman Rain, then Councilwoman Littlejohn.
So we're not, as you mentioned, we're not raising rates on any taxes or fees. My one question, though, related to that was specific to the business license fee, which is a subsection of the fees, license, and permits category.
Correct.
And looking back, it's been in a pretty tight range the last 3 years. So the 21-22 actual was about 8.1 million. 22-23 actual, this is on page 19 of 94.
Catching up.
22-23 actual was about 8.2 million. 23-24 projected, 8.2 million. So all in that 8.1 to 8.2 million dollar range. But we project it in this new budget going up to 8.7 million, or 8.725. I just want to make sure we're not, I guess my question is, how are we getting that much more out of a license that's been pretty consistent in 8.1 to 8.2 million? And when I hear businesses complain about competing in the city versus being in the county or in other municipalities, the one issue that we charge that the county doesn't charge is that business license fee. So I'm sensitive to that because I think it is an issue for businesses that they just move 3 miles, they don't have to pay it. So I want to make sure we're not increasing that. And I'm asking how we, I'd love to see us lower it. I get that there are constraints, but how do we think that's going to go up 500K?
Dennis did I think my quick big answer is we're seeing good numbers come in right now, and we're also seeing a manifestation of the inflation in the economy overall, and which is rolling through to greater business revenues. But
I mean, even today, as I looked at the general ledger, we're at $8.3 million in business license revenue. So that's even greater than what I think I had projected.
Than what's projected now.
And to go a step further, we have 2.5 more months of collections.
Got it.
Because, there's an accrual, as I'm sure you're aware of, we can accrue any new business license activity for July and August. And just for comparison, last year, that was about $250,000. So I can easily say here by the end of the fiscal year, when we close the books, we're going to be about at $8.5 million. Okay. That's how I can sort of project. And plus, as Chris has said, with the rise in inflation and people are paying more for things, we're seeing businesses report more gross revenue.
So the 23-24 projected, you think, is actually higher than what we're showing in the packet, when the packet.
Right, the new state system. And so at that time, when we use those numbers, those rates have not changed. We were going to be revenue neutral across the board. But even as we presented to you at that time, there would be some winners and some losers in that. And I know somebody up here did not like that term. I'm sorry, that's what had stuck in my mind. I got to get a better way of explaining that. There would be some differences by some businesses. Maybe that sounds better.
No one wants to be a loser.
Right.
But the increase that we think we're seeing from the actual 22-23, which was $8,176,014, to this budget, which is $8,725,000. That's in 2 years. We're talking about collecting $550,000 more. That doesn't seem revenue neutral.
Well, no, I didn't say that was revenue neutral. I said the actual rates. That's what I was referring
Rates
to.
were neutral.
Right. When we implemented the new system, the rates were neutral based on the information that we had at that time. And that was based on the 2020 gross revenues. And just in addition to that, when you think of all of the construction that's going on inside the city, that's included in that. And as we all know, the cost of construction and the materials and the labor, all of that has increased. There's a lot of activity within our city, and all of that's increasing the fee.
But no business should see its license fee increase unless their gross receipts have increased, correct?
Correct.
Councilwoman Littlejohn.
I was debating whether I should ask my question or wait till I get behind closed doors and press about it. But I'm gonna ask the question anyway. Okay, the percentage, I think you said for the policemen and the firemen, the raise was like a 1% or something like that. Is that what
That's their automatic annual step. So it would be that and whatever the annual cost of living adjustment is, which in this year would be 3.
Okay.
Plus the 1.3.
Correct.
4.3.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And
Okay, that sounds better. Thanks.
All right, we're gonna have to go into a public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, we enter into a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the way the public hearing works, you have 20 minutes for each side, 20 minutes to be, to speak in favor of the budget, and then you will have 20 minutes to speak against, not in favor of the budget. So no one person can speak no longer than 10 minutes of the 20 per side. So if you would like to speak in favor of the budget, please come forward, give us your name and address, and you have 10 minutes. No one. Would you like to speak against the proposed budget? You still have those 20 minutes in total, but 10 minutes per person. Anyone wants to speak? No one.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion for the adoption of the operating budget?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt the operating budget for 2024.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 10, to raise the revenue of the city of Spartanburg for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 to levy taxes on all real estate and personal properties, except such those as exempt by law in the corporate limits of the city of Spartanburg for corporate purposes, for the fiscal year of 2024-2025, and to provide penalties and delinquent payment of taxes levied on provided for. First reading, Mr. Chris Story.
Mr. Mayor, this is the companion piece to the budget. Again, no changes to any of the tax rate question, but this is just required to be in a separate council action.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the ordinance to raise the revenues for the city of Spartanburg.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it. Item 11, staff updates. Mr. Story, still standing front.
Yes, sir. Just a few things to share. One is I wanted to briefly recap some of the efforts that the city has made related to tenant support and the Robert Smalls transition. $275,000 was the sum that funded a partnership effort between the city and United Way to support tenants through the process, provided case management services and supports. Of that, $116,000 was directly went to tenants who had back rent related type issues to reset and enable them to move and to stay. There remains a United Way staff member at the facility on a regular basis, a case manager, and she is available to meet with tenants at any given time to help navigate those issues. And we will continue to engage with the management as best we can. Our understanding is that window units are available for folks who are having air conditioning issues. And we'll be following up on the specific units that have been mentioned. And of course, as the mayor indicated, this is a daily activity of staff and team to try to move through this process. Couple of.
Before you move from Robert Smalls,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you're going to another area. Just so I understand, and I think I do, for the residents that were moved from Norris Ridge to Robert Smalls, their rent back due or power bills, cable or whatever was cleared before they moved over?
So,
Yep.
we are aware, Mayor, yes, all efforts was done, that was kind of a prerequisite to move, to clear all
Right.
of those things.
Right.
But I was made aware last week of 8 identical situations regarding background. It was prior to the move. And working with Kathy Hill's office, we requested a meeting with management. That was requested last week. I notified ownership of the discrepancy in that, and we're trying to better understand it. We've been told that current management was not involved in that process. So trying to understand how that is now a item of concern. So the comment that was made regarding to that, we found that to be, our case manager has looked at the ledger herself, and she sees a consistent concern as regards to not just one person, but 8 individuals altogether.
And we found that, or they brought it to our?
It was brought to our attention, and the case manager on site has had access to look at the ledger, and the documented timeline is consistent across 8 different tenants.
Okay.
Trying to understand that discrepancy.
Has anyone been evicted from Robert Smalls to this point?
I'm
know.
certain of evictions that have taken place. However, evictions where we were assisting, we've been able to mitigate those. So anyone that has came for us for assistance, that have gone through the case manager, we've been able to mitigate those. And as Chris noted, we have drawn down those funds. Funds that are used today that are assisting people are available through a myriad of agencies, not specific to the funding that was previously available. So the city, Northern United Way, has direct funding that we're allocating, but through other nonprofits to assist people, there's a myriad of nonprofits to assist people with rent mitigation that we are able to triage those current individuals, but we have had the case management program in place to mitigate those concerns. So anybody that we don't know if you don't share with us, so anybody that's come forward, we've been able to assist.
One last question, and you just answered it, but does the city have funds
No,
to
sir.
assist?
Our commitment to this program is we provide support to the case manager on site.
Okay.
That is our commitment to mitigate those challenges through a partnership with United Way. We've extended the case manager's time to be on site, to be there available to anybody that needs assistance to work through those processes.
And
Councilman Foreman.
I realize we're doing everything we can to try to help, and recognizing that we're not the property managers. You know, this isn't our project. We obviously were involved from a development standpoint. And it sounds like one of the comments that was made was related to an ombudsman type role. And that really sounds like that's what the case manager is on site to do. And, you know, then there still appears to be a disconnect between the residents there, the case manager, and the management. I mean, it would, to me, stand to reason that the case manager would serve as the tenant's advocate before the landlord. And so how we're still having these issues seems like the pieces aren't linking like they should. And then you hear from a resident that there was a meeting that council didn't attend. I didn't know anything about any meeting. And, you know, certainly would have been there if it was a meeting.
I'm aware that there was a meeting involving a third-party organization, that my interpretation of that was not a meeting for a city, that was a meeting for an agency regarding some concerns. And we have staff that meets regularly with groups to hear those concerns. We have a case manager that meets regularly to meet with those tenants as it relates to those concerns. So I didn't perceive that as a meeting just for the city. It was a meeting for another organization that I personally didn't think it was in our best interest to attend.
Gotcha. And so I think, I mean, that speaks to my point about, that I'm getting ready to make, about, you know, I mean, it seems like there are a lot of silos here, right? And you know, to the extent that we can eliminate those silos and work together, because I think we all want the same thing. You know, we want the conditions to improve. We want, you know, folks to enjoy living in what's a relatively new community, and you know, we realize the goal that we all had from the beginning, but working in disparate, you know, corners of the conversation just is not going to be productive. And
so I can't remember the date, Kathy Hill, but we had a meeting to break down those silos where ownership, management, city, Councilwoman Sally was attended. The March 7th, we had a meeting. That was a very comprehensive meeting for residents and everyone. And we put everything out there on the table. There were nonprofits that was brought in to assist. And so we continue to try to follow that framework day to day, but we have had a meeting to break down those various silos, and it continues to be a very fluid process.
so how do the residents not engage in that? I'm just not getting, if they still have all these issues that they feel compelled to bring to us, which I'm glad they do, but I mean, we should have been working on those all along and should have been aware of them all along. And I'm trying to get my head around where the disconnect is.
We are aware, and we have been there all along.
Yeah, I'm not saying we haven't been. I'm just saying you'd like to think we'd see progress on the issues. And I know we are making progress, but, you know, there's still obviously lingering concerns about that.
We're going to continue to work on the communication efforts and reach out to the individuals that commented tonight and stay at it.
Yeah.
I believe that between the case manager on site, Kathy's office, Mitch's office, myself, and a number of others, it does stand to reason that we should have less disinformation or misinformation or miscommunication type issues than we continue to experience. And so we're gonna try additional strategies and just stay at it. But I don't have a good understanding at this very moment why for example, the tenant association leadership expected us at a meeting that we hadn't known about. You know, we didn't know about.
And I'm not being critical or doubting the effort that's gone into it. I'm just trying to get to some of the root causes that are kind of keeping us all from getting where we all want to be. And the other, so I would think that the case manager should have some good data to help better inform us as it relates to the real issues of the problems there. I mean, because if the system's working right, they're going to that person is pulling all that stuff together, and then, as I said earlier, serving as the advocate for the individual tenant and the residents as a whole. So we should have some information there, right?
Yeah, we do. I don't forget the exact number of residents that showed up that day. We had a structured program that if you lived in these units, you come at this time. And, you know, I have data to share with you who attended. We know every person that attended. We know every single issue that was attended. But, you know, we gathered the information, gathered the concerns, and followed up, and it continues, and so, but we're happy to share that in more detail. But at the benefit of not getting to anybody's personal information in a public setting, we can talk more strategically about what are some of the specific concerns for individuals.
Or just by category, the big rock issues that are there, that continue to be there.
Councilman Rain.
Chris, three things that I think would be good to get an update on, maybe not right now, but as agenda items that we've talked about extensively. One would be the ARPA funding.
Yep.
Just public setting, going through what we've allocated, where it's gone, what's left to be allocated that's in the general fund.
Right.
Would be one. Number two, it's been several months, maybe 6 or 7 months since we talked about Morgan Square and the efforts that went into that with that.
Right.
So an update on where we are.
Sure.
What we think comes next for discussion there. And number three would be an update on the city county municipal complex. And what timelines look like, what progress has been made. And those are all bigger conversations, and that's probably not all the same meeting.
Sure.
As we think about future agendas, we'd love to see more detailed updates on each of those three. There may be more, but on each of those three. And
Sure.
time for discussion and reaction from council.
Absolutely, we'll do that. I'll give you snapshots on each and then deeper future meeting. ARPA funding, we have $6 million that has not been allocated that needs to be allocated in the next few months. And so that'll be a topic requiring a significant amount of council interaction over the next month or two. Morgan Square, the design team is moving to the deeper percentage of the designs and engaging with contractors to have a better sense of price, so that that we can get to that point of knowing exact cost, and bring that back to you all for authorization. And the design team on the city county block and municipal complex is close to a concept plan that they hope to be able to publicly present in the next couple months, or hopefully less than that, but they're actively working. The first piece of that folks will see physically is some utility work. Right now there is water and sewer and stormwater that traverses the site that needs to be updated and relocated, and so that'll be the first piece of work that the folks will see after the demolition of City Hall is complete. Couple other things I wanted to touch on, Mr. Mayor, and then I'll sit down. June 3rd, parking technology kiosks go live. They'll go live in every garage except the St. John garage, which of course we weren't using the older gate system on anyway. At this point, we're equipping those so we can start to understand more about utilization. But the system will go live in Kennedy Street and Magnolia, and Dunbar Street, and so we're excited about that. We do think it'll be easier and more customer friendly, and of course we emphasize that none of the pricing or policies has changed in this, just the mechanization has changed. All garages will continue to be free on nights and weekends, and no change on the horizon for that. And finally, I just wanted to point out that we are making some progress on utilization of additional technology and geographic information systems and things of that nature. One of the questions we get a lot, we get, is which council district do I live in? Well, now if you go to the cityofspartanburg.org, you go to the city council page, there's an interactive map. You can type in any address and it'll pop up which council district it's in. Just one little convenience that Jenna Copley and had put together, and Kevin made me aware of today. So
Great. Great. City council updates. We're gonna start with Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chris, that's a perfect segue into what I was going to share. So now as we'll get more email requests from constituents, because they'll know who their representative is. I don't know if y'all have had a chance to download and start using the new My Spartanburg app, but I'm sure y'all have been getting more emails as grass is growing faster and people become very interested in their neighbor's grass height. and letting us know what they think about that. It's been really helpful to refer people to the My Spartanburg app. So all of you, if you don't have it yet, download it. It's really easy to make an account. You can take a picture. It'll geotag exactly where you are, and you can choose what request you're making a request about, and it'll get to exactly the right person on our staff, and they'll be able to receive follow-ups via the app, much more efficient use of everybody's time. So I encourage everyone to look at that. Jamie mentioned planning director, and just so everyone knows, our former planning director who left us a while ago for the federal government is packing her bags now for Hawaii to move to Pearl Harbor base to continue working with the Navy. So send her, she always watches online, so Natalia, well wishes. And hope to see y'all at CHAD. I'll be at CHAD. It's also my 40th birthday on Saturday, so come spend it with me at CHAD. You know, promoting our health so I can live longer. We all can. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Farmer.
Sure. First, just want to congratulate our colleague Ruth Littlejohn on winning the Mary Mildred Sullivan Award from Wofford College. That's a well-deserved honor, and so happy for you. And by the way, I don't want to brag, but I'll point out to my colleagues on the council that my picture's in Ruth Littlejohn Speaks more than anybody else on the council.
Jamie counts every month.
So I want to make sure I get documented proof every time I'm with Ruth somewhere, we get pictures. Congratulations to all the graduates throughout the city of Spartanburg. Huge achievement, both, you know, whether it's from elementary school or middle school or high school or college, what have you. Tremendous achievement. And then just congratulate Jack Roper, who's retiring from WSBA. He's been a long-time fixture in the upstate, but has been a long-time District 4 resident. So wish him well in what I think has been billed semi-retirement. So I'm sure we'll be seeing him more and more as we go along. But and also remind people that next week we've got the Phil Phillips thing downtown next Thursday. So that's an exciting event, and look forward to being there and seeing a lot of folks there. And I had not heard of him, but some folks in my office started playing the music, and I've heard the songs before, so just didn't know it was him. So that's all I have.
Awesome. Councilperson Brown.
Mr. Mayor, congratulations, Councilwoman Littlejohn, on your award. I also would like to congratulate Tony Thomas, who in Wofford's commencement received a humanitarian honorary doctorate degree. He is a colleague and a Northside resident, and one of the very first people I met when I ran for office. I mean, talk about a community advocate and someone who has a love and passion for our community. He shows up in every which way, so I want to congratulate him. And it's getting hot out there. I don't know if we have a mayor's walk coming up.
We do.
As early as possible, please.
8 o'clock a.m. 8 o'clock a.m.
That's all I have.
Councilman Rain.
Not a whole lot. Wanted to congratulate Ruth on her award.
Thank you.
And also hope everyone had a good Memorial Day. It's a day that I think about my friends that didn't come home from Iraq. And not just those that served with me, but others as well. I think it's important that while it's a great holiday, we do that as well.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that reminder, Rob. Councilwoman Littlejohn.
Early voting started today. So if you have someone out there that falls in your district or your county or your whatever, get out there and vote. Vote more than one time if you can. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, you all. Don't take that seriously. Okay. And I want to congratulate Shay, because Shay Rice, on receiving her doctorate degree. Dr. Rice, congratulations. And I know I stole your thunder, Mayor Rice. And the Girl Scouts is going to hold their annual event on October October the 17th, and I know this is a long ways away, but I want you all to mark your calendar, because this is gonna be one of the best ones that we've had. So I want you all to make sure that you mark your calendars, especially and show up. I want to congratulate Tony Thomas again on his honorary doctorate degree, and Mount Moriah Baptist Church. I want you all to know that we have some smart kids at Mount Moriah Baptist Church. So many honor students, and Mitch's son graduated from Spartanburg High with top honors, and I am so excited. If you had been at Mount Moriah on yesterday to see all of these students that received so many honors, the first female, okay, I think she's the first African American that was the president of
She's the first
Clemson
African-American
University.
female, African-American female.
Yeah. Of Claflin University, graduated with such honors. And I am so excited. If you had been at Mount Moriah yesterday, you would say, gee, we're the smartest church in town.
The young lady graduated from Clemson?
Yeah.
Clemson.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
That's it? Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, for everything that's been said,
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
We can
Thank
go
you.
into executive session.
Yep. Ruth, congratulations on your award as well. Shay being hooded, I mentioned she actually graduated last year in August, but she was hooded this past weekend. She wanted to actually march with the actual class, so congratulations to you. You could not have done it without your husband beside you. A bunch of sleepless nights, that I had sitting in that chair while she's working at the table. No, congratulations, sweetie. Love you. And again, guys, I can't say thank you, Dennis, for again providing a balanced budget to the council that give us, that platform to look through as well. Kathy Hill, thank you and your team for what you do continuously with Robert Smalls. I know we're not there yet, but we are getting there. And to the team up here, thank you for all you do. Chad, Saturday I'll be there with your birthday. To celebrate your birthday, 7:45, stretching.
Might be there a little after.
So do I entertain a motion for,
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, executive session it is. With two. Good to see you, buddy.